Ciao folks, it's the Amphora Annals here again. My name's Nick, this is Alan. We are a father and son team, as I'm sure you're very aware now. We are looking for ancient grape varieties around the Mediterranean and the history behind them. And today's episode is Ben Rye by Donnafugata. So, would you like to give us a bit of the history about Zibibbo and Muscat?
Right, I will. I'll do my best. Right, wine can be traced back through science at least 8,000 years, and there are many who believe it could be even older. The search, or as we prefer to call it, the adventure, goes on. Zibibbo, or Muscat of Alexandria, is an ancient wine that can be placed for certain in Alexandria, Egypt, at the time of Cleopatra the Great. Now, modern day research by the University of Milan that includes scouring all the Mediterranean islands, no matter how small or insignificant, they're all being visited and vigorously searched to look for ancient biotypes of vines. And to date they've found 33 ancient biotypes that haven't been affected by the modern world. So 33 ancient biotypes of Zibibbo. And this includes 2,117 vines that have been planted in Pantelleria. As Nicholas has mentioned, it's between Tunisia and Sicily, and it's known as the Black Pearl of the Mediterranean. Now this is to ensure the wine of the gods will pour again, saving ancient vines from extinction. The Black Pearl of the Mediterranean. I like that. And of course we're drinking today, as Nicholas mentioned, Moscato Passito di Pantelleria Ben Rye, which says, or in Arabic, Son of the Wind.
Great name. Speaking of pearls, the name of Pantelleria doesn't come from the Jack Sparrow Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. It's actually to do with its volcanic heritage. But speaking of pearls, on a second topic, I'm going to lead very nicely and segue into my father's next good snippet of information. Over to you.
Well, Cleopatra the Seventh, Cleopatra the Great, whose favourite wine was Muscat of Alexandria, as Nick mentioned, now modern day called Zibibbo, was a white, sweet, aromatic wine. Now, the girl herself wore an amethyst ring to ward off drunkenness. What a clever girl. And she drank from a golden goblet encrusted with amethyst to assist in sobriety. Which, of course, being a long-term descendant of Alexander the Great, was needed with that family because they were all absolute wreckheads. Like the Fildes, yes. Like us. Yeah. Now, also Cleopatra put on the costliest party in the history of mankind. I don't know how they know this, but it was 35 million in today's money to impress Mark Antony. Now, Mark Antony needed to be impressed, so what would she do? She took one of her large earrings, pearl earrings, and dropped it into a glass of muscat and drank it. Can you imagine dropping the pearl into the muscat and seeing it dissolve? Well, there are those amongst us that think maybe, being the kind of little cat she was, she probably switched the actual glasses and used vinum acer. Now, vinum acer is just wine, of course, but it's got vinegar, isn't it? So the pearl drops into the vinegar, it dissolves because it's calcium carbonate, and of course she would be able to drink it. But I think there was a bit of sleight of hand there, but that's what a clever little minx she was.
It's a little bit like when you put a 2p piece, a rusty old 2p piece in a Coca-Cola, and it becomes very shiny very quickly. No,
nothing like
terrible
that.
Analogy there. Terrible
like
analogy.
Just another thing as well, there's this wonderful book here that if anybody's interested in Cleopatra, Our Great Mucker Professor Joanne Fletcher. A lot of the information is actually in this, and this is one of the pages from it. We all have some.
I shall do indeed.
This is from a document dated 23rd of February 33 BC. It allows Canidius Crassus, a general of Mark Antony, to import 5,000 amphora per annum of Kos wine without duty. Now at this time, Kos wine was one of the best wines in the Mediterranean.
As in the island of Kos.
As in the island of Kos. And without duty. Can you imagine what wealth that would bring you? And the actual handwriting on this document here, that again from Professor Fletcher's book, at the bottom, that is written, you believe, by Cleopatra herself, and it says, when all the jargon's done, she says, let it be done. So Cleopatra, that we believe, actually signed this document to let Crassus bring in wine from Kos every year and save an unbelievable amount of money on duty.
There you go, sleight of hand in politics isn't just reserved for modern day. It's been going on a long time. But we don't talk politics. Remember, we don't talk politics. So very quickly about Pantelleria. There's a lot of research to suggest that it was initially the Carthaginians. So on our Chateau Moussard episode, as we mentioned, the Carthaginians, the Phoenicians, so on and so forth, they were the people who brought viticulture to Pantelleria. And that was in the sense of the way that they grew the vines, the way they cultivated the grape varieties, and so on and so forth. Then the Romans got a real taste for it, and the kind of the end of the Greek Empire, and so on and so forth. But as we know, a lot of the wine that they used to drink in ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, and so on and so forth was sweet. They really had a taste for the sweet stuff. So Passito is a method of winemaking where they dry the grape varieties out on bamboo mats, and that concentrates the flavour. That is why when we come on to the taste notes of this wine in just a second, you'll notice that we're talking about very kind of sweet flavours. However, the acidity is very high as well. Now, Muscat, let's just call it Muscat as a general variety. I know there's 33 biotypes, I believe, but let's just say Muscat as a general variety is pretty much the only grape variety in the world of wine that I've come across anyway, and a lot of people have come across, that actually tastes of grapes. And that sounds absolutely ridiculous when we're talking about wine, but as a sommelier myself, and we do all these tasting notes, and it's always, oh, it tastes of black currants, it tastes of lemons, it tastes of blah, yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. Very rarely does the tasting note of, oh, it actually tastes of grapes. Very rarely does that ever come up, which I find absolutely mind-boggling, to be honest. But there we go, and that's why I love Muscat, because that is a very signature flavour of it. Now, Pantelleria, as we said, is volcanic. The volcanic soil is incredible. I'm not going to go into the subject of soil because A, I'm not a geologist, but B, I don't think you're particularly interested in it. But volcanic soil for me is the most interesting because it... the talking cat is back. Great timing. But the volcanic soil is absolutely brilliant for growing wine, but also the temperature of the area, it's very warm during the day, but it's got fabulous sea breezes which make sure that the grapes don't actually cook. But then afterwards, as I said, they take everything off, they harvest it, and they kind of concentrate the flavours through the process of Passito.
Well, they're actually in ditches as well, the vines, aren't they? Because the wind is that strong at Pantelleria that they're actually grown in ditches.
Yes, a little bit like how they make wine in the Azores.
Oh.
So they oh, there we go, she's off. The vineyards of the Azores, they have these, I can't actually remember the name of them, but the barriers, because the wind comes in, they grow them very close to the floor. So it's not like a grapevine that you imagine where it's hanging, like most grapes. They hunker down to the floor to protect them from the wind and the sea breezes, which I find absolutely fascinating. But that's, like I said, that was the Carthaginians that brought in that method of viticulture, what, 2,500, maybe 3,000 years ago? Now, these vines aren't 3,000 years old, but they are still quite old. I believe we're looking at around about 80 to 90 years old on Pantelleria. So, very quickly, before we get on to some tasting notes, is the name Zibibbo. It comes from the Arabic Zabib. Zabib means raisin. So as you probably gather by now, the way the Passito, it's a raisin wine, which I absolutely love, and I love that history. Like, again, you know, you watch this channel, we know we love our history about grape varieties and regions, and for me, there is no better name in the world of wine than Zibibbo because of its heritage. So, some tasting notes. As you probably can see behind me, the cat is there, so I'm going to make sure that I don't knock her off the table whilst I reach around and get my glass. But as you can see, oh, hello,
Well,
there
as
we go.
Cleopatra said, it's white, well, whitish, sweet, aromatic, and it's all of those things.
It is all of those things. She wasn't
beautiful
fibbing.
wine, yeah.
She wasn't fibbing. So as you can see, bright gold and amber. It's just a fabulous colour, absolutely fabulous colour. Very intense. Apricot, candied orange, those kind of flavours. Bit of Mediterranean herb in there, which it's got many different names. In France it's called garrigue, and it's just a general herb mixture that you get on the nose. Think of like oregano and thyme, those kind of flavours.
I feel as though I'm educating myself while I'm getting drunk, which is a wonderful thing.
That always helps. Then on the palate, it's like drinking fabulous runny honey.
Oh, it is.
It's like the honey you get when you're in the Mediterranean. It's got that kind of infusion of herbs in there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Dried apricots again. I know apricot's a big flavour here, but it is very intense. Dried apricots, maybe a little bit of kind of ripe fig in there.
A beautiful wine.
Very, very, very intense. Now this is a wine, as you can see, it's served in a half. You can get full size bottles, but I would recommend if you did buy some, buy it in half bottles for two reasons.
Your pocket.
Your pocket, it's not cheap. We are going to start doing some cheaper wines, by the way, but at the moment this is what we're going through. But also it is very, very sweet. This is a wine not to be drank on your own. As they call it, a meditation wine on the website, which I find absolutely fabulous, but it's a wine to be shared with people, maybe with some desserts. It is very, very, very sweet, so you have to bear that in mind. However, the fabulous thing about this wine is it's got quite a bit of acidity. You've heard us talk before about the balance of acidity and sugar. This has got it in buckets and spades. It's absolutely fantastic.
God.
This is considered one of the world's finest Passito or dessert wines across all the Mediterranean and maybe the whole planet, maybe even the universe. I know, so I've got a little bit heavy there, but again, I would recommend if you've got a table of maybe 4 or 5 coming round to your house, pour some of this, get some Cantucci biscuits or some chocolate tarts, something like that, something quite sweet but with a little bit of bitterness there.
It's good enough for
away you go.
Cleopatra, it's good enough for us.
Yes. Okay then folks, so that wraps it up for today. Again, from us and the Ben Rye, we really appreciate you watching. We really appreciate you watching. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Give us a comment in the section below. We'll put some more information as to where you can buy this wine, and if you need any literature or anything, please send us a direct message and we'll get in touch with you. But yes, join us next time for another episode of the Amphora Annals, where we will be talking about, we don't know yet, and we'll figure it out.
It'll be drink though.
It'll be drink. Ciao.
Ciao.